I just came, like literally, from the 10X Grant Cardone stages 2-day course. And I'm here to not only tell you all about it, pull out those nuggets, but help you apply what I've learned to government contracting. So during this 2-day event, one thing that really stood out is the fact that I had this assumption that the intent of 10X stages was to help you land paid speaking gigs. That's what I thought. Maybe you thought that too, who knows? That's not it at all. And I'll explain why not. So in reality, what we actually learned in this session, there were over 200 people in person, as well as maybe 100 virtually. They went over what's super important when you're speaking on a stage or a webinar or live. You're briefing someone, could be a capability brief, all translates the same. And they broke it down, and because it's proprietary, I'm going to put it into kizzy words for you. So first thing is, people want to connect with you on an emotional level. And when you first start talking to someone, it's really important to bring up something that you know is highly relatable. It could be around how you're juggling multiple things as a parent, or how you've doubted yourself in your life, right? Maybe not for a capability brief. You may not want to bring up all that now, but you're getting what I'm trying to say. So for instance, with a capability brief, I tend to talk about my kind of timeline, that I started off as a little girl selling golf balls. I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I went from there to grad school, never expected it to happen in graduate school. And the reason that I was even a graduate research fellow with the Air Force at the time was because my dad and many others in my family served in the military. So right there, it's somewhat relatable as far as your childhood dreams and aspirations. They can relate to that. Maybe the government person, they served in the military, or someone in their family served in the military. You know, the fact that something just happened out of the blue and wow, I can't believe it. You grew your company from nothing to almost 100 employees while you were just straight out of graduate school. These are things that people connect to and they like. So that's a really key part when it comes to the structure of your signature talk, as they call it. Yes, and there's even a little brochure here on it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And then the next thing that they transition into as far as the structure is, this is where you provide the value. No different than in government contracting. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of government contracting companies out there. And if you're not offering them value, if you're making their life difficult, they're not going to want to work with you. No different than if you're listening to someone on a podcast, on a stage, you're watching them through a Zoom, and they aren't adding value, but telling you how amazing they are. Nobody wants that. They want your value. So it could be, in addition to your capability brief, maybe there's a checklist that you provide to them. Maybe you give them a white paper. Maybe you offer them to sit in on your class. We've done that several times, where someone from an agency, we would invite them to sit in, get permission from that agency for it to happen, or we would get permission to be able to share a recording with that agency. Because then you're providing this value within the content of what you're providing in that recording. And then they're also getting to know you, to like you, to trust you. The other big piece, if you can kind of weave it in, is bringing up some kind of social proof. You may be thinking, social proof, where am I supposed to get that from? I'm in government contracting. Don't worry, I got you covered. So in government contracting, it could be some type of an email you receive. Maybe one of your customers sent you this amazing email going on and on about just how great you are. Perhaps a client completed an evaluation on you. Perhaps you have a CPAR. If you don't have any of these things, you can pull from LinkedIn. It's a great place to request a testimony, right? When someone's referring you. And it's great. And you can cut and paste those images from LinkedIn into a document and that you attach alongside with your capability brief, or it could be it could be integrated in your capability brief. You can put it in a slide deck. It doesn't matter how you display it. What's important is you're able to include that social proof. And the same applies to us in government contracting. The next thing is they really emphasize kind of as you're closing out your talk is you're going to want to give a call to action. Very vital. So you may have seen this, like for instance, go to profitablecontracts.co. It's a great place. You're going to find this amazing download that will really help you along during your government contracting journey, right? So for all my amazing GovCon winners, your call to action is please reply with 3 dates and time in which we could schedule a capability brief. That's your call to action. All day, every day. Your goal is to have as many capability briefs as possible. That's your call to action. If you're someone in an industry inside of government contracting where maybe you have some kind of expo or you have an open house, invite them. That's another call to action. Or if you're going to be speaking at an event and you know it's near where their office is, invite them. That could be your call to action. And then the closing is kind of an emotional close where you could share another story. What I'll typically do is say, yeah, I mean, now, you know, it wasn't easy, got the 8A, and I'll go in and talk about how I went from just 1-2 people to the number of people that we have now. And I'll bring up some of the trials and tribulations that have happened in my life as this government contractor, just a few. You know, I don't want to overwhelm them or think like, oh my gosh, is this like some TV special show thing going on with her? To just, again, relate to them at the person level, the nose to nose level. It doesn't matter what kind of story that you have. It's just something that they can relate to and it's still connected to your business. This is not the time to go into necessarily like you got divorced. If that comes up or something of that nature, by all means, run with it. But it's something for them to have a better understanding of you, more about just you as a human being, you as an entrepreneur, you as far as what you have to offer them, the amazing federal government. And so you kind of close with that. And it's a great way for them to really feel good, to feel inspired, which is how I want to leave people. So it was really awesome to kind of learn that technique of having that just whiz bang opener and knowing the value of the content that you provide must be value added. The other thing that came up is they actually had a panel of conference planners, and they went into detail as far as what they look for in a speaker. So I assumed, right? I assumed I was going to learn to put together some kind of packet so I could pitch myself out there and get paid to speak. I assumed that when a conference stated that they were accepting applications, that someone magically went through all of them. All of that's wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Because they don't know the people. They can't trust the people who are applying to put on their stage, whether it's 2 people or it's a stage of 7,000. No different than a capability brief. Okay, you emailed your capability brief. It's in the pile with the other 1,000. They don't know you. So they instead really emphasize how they loved the approach that was really pitched. It's an awesome approach in the 10X class, and that was to create a video where you're basically emphasizing the important areas to the event planner, how you're going to be able to solve those for the event planner and for all of their amazing attendees through your speech. So the way you apply that to federal government is by having phone calls. You could potentially create a video for them, depending. Some agencies have very strict email policies, so uploading a video file is probably not a good idea. However, guess where you can put video files? On LinkedIn, on Facebook. So it allows them to get to know you more. And that's in essence what these event planners were saying. When they receive these videos that they know in which someone went through the various 10X stages courses, it makes them feel good. They know that they can trust them because Grant Cardone's name's attached to it. So as a government contractor, you're allowing them to really get to know you more through your other social media platforms, and you can easily send them a link. Hey, I'm just checking in. I sent my capabilities brief a couple of weeks ago. I just want to let you know I posted this video on 4 tips to help decrease turnover. You can check it out. It's on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is safe. YouTube is safe. Facebook, safe. There are government agencies who go live on Facebook. They do. So it's no different. So as far as being taught how to book and get paid to be a speaker, no. I learned this business model that I had no clue about. Let's say you're paid $5,000 to speak. For some of you, you're like, whoa, that would be awesome. Maybe for others, you're like, I don't know about that. But let's say you're paid $5,000 for an hour presentation. You're like, wow, that's awesome. If I could have, several of those a month, my life would be set. This would be great. Oh my goodness, say no more, Kizzy. Now, what if you aren't paid anything, or maybe you're only paid $1,000. However, you are allowed to include some kind of pitch, such as go to profitablecontracts.co, right? Or go to this website to take my survey that I have there, and I'm going to provide you a customized one-on-one consultation, right? Because what's going to happen is by you taking a lower dollar amount and not focusing on, I got to grab a bag, get all these speaking gigs, you look at it as, oh, these are potential prospects. So by receiving their contact information, the value significantly increases. And they provided the numbers where they were making maybe $20,000, $30,000 per stage that they spoke on, whether it's in person or virtual, sometimes even more than $1 million. Why? Because they were able to pitch instead of, oh, I got $100,000 speaking engagement fee, I'm out. So in terms of the federal government, the power there is that you too can add more. Sometimes we're so focused on getting that win and just getting in there and being able to brag to the world. And we're like, they're going to pay our price. They're not going to, kids talk about profits. I'm going in, they're going to pay my price. Look, I'm not saying that. I'm not, you know how I am. You always get a profit, right? 20 to 50%. But sometimes you come down a little bit because it's a foot in the door, and it could potentially lead to referrals or more opportunities with that said agency. I've had agencies straight up say to me, Kizzy, don't come here trying to get rich off of us. It's what someone said with the military agency not too long ago. Again, profits, 20 to 50% is your target. But in terms of applying what I just shared with you all, hey, it's something that could definitely work out, because then you're looked at as a value added partner. Just partner. That's how they view you. Instead of the sleazy person trying to sell me something. You're not sleazy. You're none of those things. Y'all are good con winners. Y'all know this. You know this, right? So The other thing that was super exciting, because you may be thinking, if you're familiar with Grant Cardone, was Grant Cardone there? Where was Grant Cardone? So Grant Cardone was traveling. He's in Arizona. He came on virtually. And what I loved is he was so honest. I mean, you may think, well, because he's always honest. No, he was even more honest. Like, he talked about how he had bombed in front of stage on different stages, like recently bombed. And it was really cool to hear that, because hey, it's happened. I've bombed on stages. I've bombed with certain contracts. I've bombed in many things and areas in my life. And it's not going to end, right? It's not going to end at all. So it was really cool to hear him talk about it, talk about the things that he learned. It was just very inspiring. And the other huge takeaway is that his crowd, oh my goodness, the diversity was mind-blowing. All walks of life were in that room. And it cost, I think, right around $6,000 to go. All walks of life. And he even talked about that the importance of bringing together people that ordinarily would never come together. The same applies to you in the government space. Instead of just honing in on the Army, or honing in on the Air Force, honing in on Department of State, you want to diversify. Because if Department of State's budget's cut, you're still covered by the Army. If there's a change in administration, and perhaps you're in diversity over here, and the next president is not for diversity necessarily, you don't have to worry about it, because you have all of these other contracts that aren't related to diversity, that are with different agencies. It is so vital to have diversity. Man, overall, these 2 days have left me fired up. I'm not gonna be able to sleep, y'all. Not gonna be able to sleep. I am speechless. I'm still just blown away at everything I experienced. So thank you all, my amazing GovCon winners, for making it this far. You know where to go, profitablecontracts.co. It's really great, y'all. Profitablecontracts.co. Hit that notification bell, subscribe, comment below. I am so grateful to you all. I love and adore each and every, I so do. I'm so appreciative. Don't forget, everything is possible, y'all.